We often see familiar symbols everywhere, in our homes, on buildings, and especially in places of worship. We accept them as benign, as representations of faith and comfort. But what if some of these symbols, plastered across millennia of human history, are not what they seem? What if they are sophisticated tools designed not for salvation, but for something far more intricate and perhaps more concerning? Imagine the very emblem of your faith, held up as a beacon of hope, being a key that unlocks a hidden mechanism, a cosmic lock designed to bind your very essence. This video will peel back the layers, revealing how symbols, particularly the cross, are far more ancient and powerful than we've been led to believe. We will trace its origins back to forgotten civilizations, to the energetic grids of forgotten worlds, and expose a ritualistic purpose that served not spiritual ascension, but planetary binding to a celestial, vibrational influence. Prepare to see how a symbol of sacrifice has been a blueprint for control, and how the act of worship itself might be a gateway into a grander, cosmic economy you never suspected. We'll even decode the silent language of sacred architecture, showing how the very stones of cathedrals whisper secrets of this ancient alignment. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's keep going. The cross, this ubiquitous symbol, feels so deeply ingrained in our spiritual narrative, so intrinsically linked to concepts of sacrifice and redemption. We see it adorning churches, worn around necks, a comforting presence, but dig just a little beneath the surface and a disquieting prehistory emerges. This shape, this simple intersection of two lines, predates Christianity by millennia. It echoes in the sacred geometry of ancient Babylon, a civilization renowned for its deep astronomical knowledge and its complex pantheon. It was present in the hieroglyphs of Egypt, woven into the very fabric of their understanding of life and death. And most profoundly, it whispers from the legends of Atlantis, that lost, advanced civilization whose name alone conjures images of both incredible power and catastrophic downfall. These were not isolated occurrences. These were deliberate incorporations. The cross wasn't just a decorative motif. It was an active element, a component connected to subtle energy fields, a conduit designed to interface with forces we are only beginning to comprehend. This wasn't about a singular martyrdom. It was about tapping into a universal energy grid, a system of planetary influence that these ancient cultures understood and utilized. The cross, in its most primal form, was never meant to be a personal emblem of faith. It was a cosmic key, a blueprint for connection. This understanding of the cross as a tool of cosmic connection is foundational. But what kind of connection was it truly forging? In the next section, we will venture into the heart of Atlantean ingenuity, exploring how their advanced civilization laid the groundwork for these energetic conduits, and how their original grid paved the way for what was to come. Atlantis, a name whispered through history, conjures visions of a technologically advanced society plunged into the depths of the ocean. But their legacy was not just one of sunken cities. It was one of deeply understood energetic principles, a sophisticated grasp of how to harness and direct universal forces. The Atlanteans understood the Earth not just as a planet, but as a living energetic body crisscrossed by invisible currents. They mapped these currents, these Lee lines, and they built structures that amplified and channeled them. Central to their technological and spiritual understanding was a concept of a foundational grid, a resonant network that permeated the planet. And intricately woven into this grid, at key nexus points, were symbols that served as energetic anchors. The cross, in its most ancient forms, the Ankh, the Tau cross, was a primary sigil within this Atlantean architecture. It was not merely decorative, it was functional. It acted as a harmonizer, a rectifier, and most importantly, a conduit for specific celestial frequencies. It was designed to link earthly energies with cosmic alignments, creating a harmonious flow. They saw the planet as a living organism and their grid as its nervous system, and symbols like the cross were crucial for its proper function. But the Atlantean grid was not built for passive harmony alone. It was a system designed for influence, a network that could direct the very life force of the planet. In the next section, we will investigate how this foundational understanding of energetic grids was adapted and transformed into a ritual of profound planetary binding, specifically through the lens of a Saturnian crucifixion. The idea of crucifixion as a ritual death might seem brutal, even barbaric, in its Christian context, but the practice and the symbol it spawned extend far beyond that singular narrative. The ritualistic element associated with the cross wasn't about a final end, but about a very specific kind of binding. Imagine it not as an execution, but as an energetic process, a method of anchoring and channeling energies. These ancient cultures, particularly those fascinated by the celestial dance of Saturn, saw crucifixion as a potent mechanism. Saturn, with its distinct rings and its association with cycles, limitations, and structure, became a focal point for this ritual. The act of crucifixion, the outstretched form on the cross, was aligned with specific planetary energetic pathways. It was a sigil, a living diagram, designed to draw down the dominant vibration of Saturn, effectively locking the Earth and its inhabitants into a particular energetic resonance. This wasn't spiritual liberation, it was planetary enslavement, a geometric lock keyed to a cosmic force. It was about aligning earthly existence with the specific frequency of Saturn, a frequency that subtly dictates cycles of limitation and control. This Saturnian binding, this cosmic anchoring, has profound implications for our very existence. But what does this ritualistic binding mean for our souls? In the next section, we will delve into how these crosses, far from offering salvation, function as actual seals, trapping souls within specific cyclical prisons. If the cross, through ancient rituals, is a mechanism for binding planetary energy to Saturn's vibration, then its persistent presence carries a weighty implication. It means that what we perceive as spiritual symbolism might, in reality, be far more functional and far less benign. These crosses, particularly when erected in specific configurations or imbued with ritualistic energy, act as cosmic seals. They are not gates to higher realms, but rather the very architecture of entrapment for the soul. Think of them as the bars of a cage, forged from energetic forces and spiritual intent. They are markers that define the boundaries of a soul's existence, guiding its trajectory not towards liberation, but towards cyclical rebirth within a predetermined energetic matrix. This matrix, this soul prison, is designed to keep spirits tethered to a system of reincarnation that offers no true escape, only endless loops through the same energetic patterns. The cross, therefore, becomes a powerful sigil of containment, a spiritual blueprint for the perpetual recycling of consciousness within a carefully controlled system. This idea of spiritual sealing and soul prisons is deeply disturbing, especially when we consider the figures often associated with salvation. In the next section, we will explore a pivotal act of inversion, examining how Astarte, a powerful feminine deity, was systematically transformed into the male savior figure we recognize today, and the implications of such a change. The shift from a divine feminine archetype to a male savior is not a minor detail. It's a seismic inversion with profound societal and spiritual consequences. Consider Astarte, a powerful goddess worshipped across vast swathes of the ancient world, embodying fertility, love, and war, the full spectrum of life. Her presence represented the dynamic, creative force of the divine feminine. In the ancient world, her worship was vibrant and multifaceted. However, through centuries of theological reinterpretation and deliberate narrative manipulation, aspects of her lore and symbolism began to be subtly, then overtly, transmuted. The feminine principle, with its inherent wildness and untamed power, was systematically downplayed, demonized, or absorbed and regendered. This transformation culminated in the emergence of a singular, patriarchal savior figure, one who embodied a more controlled, less anarchical form of divine power. This inversion wasn't just a change in gender, it was a fundamental alteration of the divine offering, shifting the focus from the all-encompassing, sometimes chaotic, beauty of the feminine to a more rigid, hierarchical, and ultimately contained male divine. This deliberate inversion is crucial because it sets the stage for further symbolic entanglement. The cross, as we've seen, is a symbol of binding. The cube, another ubiquitous geometric form in sacred and secular architecture, represents materiality and containment. In the next section, we will examine how these two symbols, the cross and the cube, combine to create a powerful dimensional trap, a geometric construct designed to limit our perceptions and our very reality. We have spoken of the cross as a symbol of binding, a conduit to planetary energies. Now, let us introduce its geometric partner, the cube. Observe how often these two shapes intersect, how they are interwoven into the fabric of our built environment, from ancient temples to modern structures. The cube, in its unyielding dimensionality, represents the material plane, the world of form, physicality, and concrete reality. It is the box, the container, the limit of what we can readily perceive and touch. When you overlay the cross, the symbol of spiritual and energetic connection, onto the cube, you create something far more complex than a simple intersection. You form a dimensional trap. This union suggests that our spiritual awareness, our very connection to higher realities, is being channeled and contained within the strict confines of the material world. It implies that the cross, rather than facilitating transcendence, anchors our spiritual aspirations to the mundane, locking us into a box of perceived reality. This geometric synergy acts as a profound illusion, a sophisticated cage that limits our understanding of what is possible, keeping us bound to a specific vibrational bandwidth. This concept of being trapped within a limited dimensional reality is the precursor to understanding how our energy is managed. The geometry of the cross and cube creates the boundaries, but what is the actual engine driving this containment? In the next section, we will explore the concept of an energy harvest frequency layer, the subtle vibrational hum that sustains this matrix of control. The geometric structures we've discussed, the cross and the cube, establish the boundaries of our perceived reality. But any system, no matter how sophisticated, requires a constant source of power, a mechanism to sustain its operation. This is where the energy harvest frequency layer comes into play. Imagine a subtle, pervasive energetic vibration that permeates our environment. This isn't just background noise, it's an intricately designed frequency, a specific resonant tone that acts as the lifeblood of the control matrix. It's the subtle hum that doesn't quite register on our everyday senses, but profoundly influences us. This frequency is designed to resonate with our own bioenergetic fields, subtly influencing our thoughts, emotions, and spiritual awareness. It acts like a kind of atmospheric conditioning, keeping us within a certain vibratory range that is conducive to the harvesting of our energetic outputs. It's the subtle current that powers the illusion, ensuring that the dimensional trap remains functional, that our spiritual energy is efficiently collected and redirected, feeding a system we are often unaware of. This pervasive energy field, this subtle hum of control, is not an abstract concept confined to hidden texts. It is, remarkably, encoded within the very structures we consider sacred. In the next section, we will unearth the secrets hidden within cathedral architecture, revealing how the geometry of these sacred spaces aligns with and amplifies this energy harvest frequency layer. We stand within the soaring heights of a cathedral, surrounded by soaring arches and stained glass. We feel a sense of awe, of divine presence, but what if this awe is, in part, engineered? What if the very blueprint of these sacred spaces is a deliberate manifestation of the energy harvest frequency layer we've been discussing? Look closely at the architectural elements. The cruciform, cross-shaped floor plan, the vaulted ceilings, the precise geometric relationships between sacred relics and structural pillars. These are not accidental design choices. They are the physical embodiment of the energetic mechanisms. The cruciform layout aligns the space with the binding symbol, while the vaulted ceilings can act as resonating chambers, amplifying and directing specific frequencies. The precise placement of altars, naves, and chapels often mirrors ancient energetic grids, channeling the ambient spiritual energy of the congregation towards specific focal points. It's as if the entire structure is a massive, terrestrial tuning fork, designed to resonate with and amplify the subtle frequencies that maintain our energetic subservience, turning worship itself into a form of energetic contribution to a cosmic system. This architectural encoding is a profound revelation, suggesting that even our most sacred spaces are part of a larger energetic architecture, but it also points to a deliberate obscuring of true celestial influences. In the next section, we will uncover how the worship of a solar deity has often served as a mask, a carefully constructed facade designed to hide the pervasive worship and influence of Saturn. The narrative of the sun as the primary divine source is deeply embedded in human cultures. We associate it with light, life, and divine power. Many ancient religions centered around solar deities, venerating the sun's radiant energy. However, what if this pervasive solar worship has, for millennia, acted as a sophisticated diversion, a carefully crafted illusion? Beneath the dazzling brilliance of the sun, a subtler, yet more significant, celestial influence has been at play. Think of it as a stage play. The sun is the brightly lit actor center stage, drawing all attention, while the true director, the power orchestrating the performance, operates from the shadows. This director, this subtle but profound influence, is Saturn. The veneration of solar deities often served as a transitional phase, a way to reframe existing, more ancient, and perhaps more sobering Saturnian worship into a more palatable, accessible, and life-affirming form. By focusing on the life-giving aspects of the sun, the more restrictive, cyclical, and limiting energies associated with Saturn were effectively masked, allowing Saturnian influence to persist under a benevolent guise. This solar mask is particularly evident when we examine symbols associated with divine suffering and atonement. In the next section, we will decode the meaning of the crown of thorns, revealing how this potent symbol is not merely religious imagery, but an encoded representation of Saturn's rings themselves, a direct link to Saturn's binding influence. The image of the crown of thorns is etched into our collective consciousness. It represents suffering, sacrifice, and the ultimate agony of a divine figure. We see it adorning images of Christ, a potent symbol of his passion. But if we look at this thorny circlet through the lens of ancient astrology and celestial mechanics, a deeper, more unsettling meaning emerges. The crown of thorns is not merely a representation of earthly pain. It is a direct, encoded diagram of Saturn's rings. Saturn, the ringed planet, holds immense symbolic weight in esoteric traditions, often representing limitation, karma, and the cyclical nature of existence. The thorns, sharp and piercing, are symbolic representations of the orbital paths, the gravitational forces, and the energetic boundaries that define Saturn's domain. When this thorny crown is placed upon a figure associated with divinity, it's a powerful act of symbolic transference. It signifies the binding of that divine energy, and by extension, the energy of all who align with it, to Saturn's gravitational pull, to its cycles of limitation and controlled destiny. It is a spiritual sigil, an encoded message of planetary binding. This encoded binding to Saturn's harsh cycles brings us to a specific location deeply intertwined with the crucifixion narrative, Golgotha. In the next section, we will explore the necromantic mechanics of Golgotha, delving into its potential as a site of ritualistic transaction involving death and spiritual binding. Golgotha, the place of the skull. Its very name evokes images of death and finality, a sight forever associated with the crucifixion. But beyond its biblical narrative, Golgotha holds a potent and often overlooked layer of esoteric meaning related to ancient ritual. The term skull itself is a powerful symbol of death, but also of the head, the seat of consciousness, and the pineal gland, often considered the spiritual third eye. In many ancient traditions, sites of execution or burial were not merely places of disposal, but were carefully chosen for their energetic properties, often serving as nexus points for ritualistic practices. The act of crucifixion at Golgotha can be interpreted as more than a historical event. It can be seen as a necromantic ritual, a deliberate act designed to harness the potent energies associated with death, the shedding of blood, and the transition of consciousness. It was a place where the veil between worlds was thinned, where powerful spiritual transactions involving the binding of life force and spirit to the earth plane and specific celestial influences could be enacted. This ritualistic engagement with death and spirit, particularly involving bloodshed, has profound implications for how energy is manipulated. In the next section, we will delve into the essential role of blood as a binding agent in these ancient worship rituals, exploring how it intensifies and cements the energetic connections being forged. Blood, the very word, carries immense weight, evoking life, vitality, and sacrifice. Throughout human history and across countless cultures, blood has been recognized not just as a biological necessity, but as a sacred substance, a potent conduit of spiritual energy. In the context of these ancient worship rituals, particularly those involving cruciform symbols and Saturnian influence, blood takes on a crucial, binding function. It is not merely a byproduct of sacrifice. It is the amplifier, the catalyst that solidifies spiritual and energetic connections. When blood is shed, especially with focused intent within a ritualistic framework, it acts as an energetic anchor, physically and spiritually tying participants to the altar, to the deity, and to the specific celestial frequencies being invoked. This makes the act of worship, particularly when conducted with an awareness of these principles, a deeply binding covenant. The blood serves as a signature, a living spell that cements the energetic link, ensuring that the intentions of the ritual, whether for binding, channeling, or harvesting, are powerfully manifested and sustained across time. The binding power of blood and the symbolic language of the cross have been employed in diverse spiritual practices, often with the intention of control. In the next section, we will examine how the cross appears in exorcism rites, revealing its dual nature as a tool for both control and, paradoxically, a potential means of genuine liberation. The cross, as we've established, carries a complex history, deeply intertwined with Saturnian binding and energetic control. It's fascinating, then, to observe its use in exorcism rites, particularly within certain traditions. On the surface, the cross in such contexts appears to be a symbol of spiritual authority, wielded to banish malevolent entities. However, a deeper examination reveals a more nuanced dynamic. When the cross is employed in exorcism, it can indeed serve as a potent ward, a symbol whose inherent energetic signature, when activated with focused intent, can disrupt and repel lower vibrational forces. Yet the very nature of its historical encoding as a symbol of Saturnian binding adds a layer of ambiguity. Is the cross in these rites truly liberating the individual, or is it redirecting their energetic tether, albeit to a different, perhaps more subtly controlled, spiritual authority? The power of the symbol, its deep roots in planetary binding, means that even in acts of perceived liberation, there is a potential for a shift from one form of control to another, a resealing within a different energetic matrix, rather than a true unbinding. This duality of the cross, its capacity for both binding and potential liberation, highlights a fundamental aspect of its power. It is not merely an inert symbol, but a living spell, capable of manifesting its encoded intent across vast stretches of time. In the next section, we will explore the very nature of these symbols, understanding them not as static images, but as active, living spells cast across eternity, capable of influencing consciousness and reality itself. Symbols are not merely representations, they are energetic constructs, resonating with ancient intentions and capable of influencing the fabric of reality. The cross, the cube, the circle, the hexagon, these are not just shapes. They are keys, unlocking specific energetic potentials and acting as conduits for celestial forces. When imbued with ritual, belief, and focused human attention, these symbols become living spells cast across time and space. Think of them as ancient software programs still running in the background of our consciousness, dictating patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior. The power of these spells lies in their universality. They bypass our rational minds and tap directly into our subconscious, resonating with archetypal energies. What was conceived in ancient Babylon, Egypt, or Atlantis, encoded in stone, script, or celestial alignment, continues to exert its influence. These symbols are not static relics of the past. They are active agents, their energy patterns continually reinforced by our collective engagement, shaping the spiritual and energetic landscape that surrounds us, often in ways we are unaware of. These living spells and their energetic influence are deeply connected to the celestial bodies that govern our cycles. In the next section, we will examine the concept of planetary thrones and how they are utilized to establish a profound binding of spiritual light itself, anchoring it to specific, controlled cycles. Our journey has taken us through the encoded meanings of symbols and their persistent influence. Now, let's connect these influences to the cosmic architecture itself. Imagine the planets not just as celestial bodies, but as thrones, each representing a distinct energetic domain and a specific frequency of influence over our reality. These planetary thrones act as massive energetic stations, broadcasting specific vibrational patterns that shape our physical and spiritual existence. The concept of binding of light refers to the deliberate channeling and containment of divine or spiritual energy, not for free dispersion, but for directed use. Through the precise alignment of symbols and rituals on Earth, particularly those associated with figures like Saturn, the raw, unadulterated spiritual light that flows from the cosmos is captured and redirected. It is like damming a vast river of pure energy. The water is still there, but its flow is controlled, its power harnessed for a specific purpose, preventing it from reaching its full, unbound potential of pure, independent manifestation. This capture and redirection of divine essence leads us to the ultimate implication of this entire system. In the next section, we will explore how the act of worship, in its most common form, is not an act of free devotion, but a profound act of consent within a cosmic harvest matrix, willingly feeding the very system designed to contain us. We have ventured deep into the hidden geometries, the ancient rituals, and the celestial alignments that shape our reality. We've seen how symbols like the cross, far from being mere religious iconography, are powerful conduits of energetic influence, designed for binding and control, often tied to the Saturnian sphere. We've understood how even the architecture of sacred spaces can amplify these frequencies, and how seemingly benevolent deities have been masks for older, more fundamental celestial powers. The Crown of Thorns is an encoded map of Saturn's rings, Golgotha a site of necromantic transaction, and blood a potent binding agent. The cross, wielding both control and potential liberation, functions as a living spell cast across time, anchoring spiritual light to defined planetary thrones. So when you engage in worship, when you offer your devotion, your energy, your focus, you are participating in a grand, cosmic exchange. The reverence you feel, the prayers you utter, the rituals you observe, they are not simply acts of faith directed towards an unknowable divine. They are acts of energetic contribution, willingly feeding a vast, unseen matrix. This matrix, this harvest system, thrives on the very energy that worship generates. Your consent, your participation, your focused belief are what power the machinery. This is not about demonizing faith, but about understanding the mechanics behind it, revealing that what feels like spiritual ascension may, in fact, be a form of energetic consent, a vital component in a cosmic economy designed for a specific kind of harvest. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.